This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, March 27. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Barbadians are still engaging in risky sexual behavior. This worrying finding was revealed today as the National HIV/AIDS Commission released a report on knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, and sexual practices among adults ages 15 to 49 in Barbados. According to the 2016-2017 study, despite the fact that Barbadians are well educated about the virus, they continue worrying practices, including inconsistent condom use, relationships involving multiple partners, and many refuse to be tested for HIV. The report was unveiled today by Assistant Director of the Commission, Nicole Drakes, at the Warren's Office Complex, who warned that such practices were undermining efforts to significantly reduce the prevalence of sexually transmitted diseases.
There has been a declining number of persons having using condoms at last sex. Now, I just want to interject here to note that the National AIDS Program does focus on behavior change communication, but very many behaviors are very hard to change. And success with behavior change may not be something that we will see within our lifetimes. We're going to have to work at it. Because understanding human behavior, understanding motivations, and the reason why people do things is challenging, because some of these people don't know why they do things. So that is another area in which we have to direct our research efforts.
At the same time, a senior medical officer responsible for communicable diseases, Antoine Bess, expressed concern about the high incidence of sexually transmitted infections.
Over the previous decade or so, the incidence rates have been declining, albeit only marginally. Best available evidence is indicating that this is due to the use of antiretroviral therapy rather than alteration of the sexual habits of people in Barbados. So we are faced with a conundrum and need to find more effective ways to modify people's attitudes and their behaviors to further reduce HIV transmission rates. This is why research like this is needed, as it will bring us to a better understanding of the social and behavioral vulnerabilities associated with HIV in Barbados.
Representatives of sex workers, the lesbian, gay and bisexual community and members of the disabled community have been given a place at the table of the social partnership, along with representatives of faith-based and other non-government organizations. In keeping with its manifesto promise to broaden the social partnership framework, the Barbados Labour Party government has included a wide range of interest groups through the establishment of a social justice committee. Introducing the committee this afternoon, Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations Colin Jordan said it was in line with the principles of the International Labour Organization. Jordan, who is the chairman, said the committee's main objective was to consider and make recommendations to government directly through the Social Partnership Cabinet on issues of social justice.
There are a number of areas that this committee will be looking into. Poverty alleviation is one of those, because we're talking about people, we're talking about social justice. How people function in a society and how we can remove barriers that would prevent people from giving of their all and of their best to a society. If a society is to operate at its maximum, at its most effective, then everybody in the society has to be allowed to participate in a meaningful way, and any barriers that would prevent persons from functioning effectively, then we would need to seek to remove those barriers. And that is what we speak to when we talk about justice.
The committee comprises 19 individuals appointed by the Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations for a period of 2 years. The Supreme Court on Whitepark Road will be back in business next week. Today, Attorney General Dale Marshall told Barbados Today that the court, which was closed since last May due to environmental issues, is now fully operational. Marshall says the court registry has started to move back into the building, and by next week, all courts will be following suit.
All of the work at the court in Whitepark Road is completed. The registry has actually begun to move. It makes sense for the registry to move first. So the registry has begun to move, and by weekend they'll be up and fully functioning. Next week then the courts themselves will move down from both Kindergarten, of course, and Manor Lodge, so that within a week, I'd say by the 7th of April, we will have the entire Whitepark Road complex up and running again.
The AG also disclosed that all systems are go for the appointment of new temporary judges as well as permanent judges. He noted that they are expected to give priority to 65 murder cases delayed in the system.
We are still pursuing the appointment of temporary judges to help us to clear the backlog of criminal cases. We are committed to ensuring that trials take place in a speedy fashion. But with over 1,000 indictable matters awaiting trial and 2 High Court judges, that's an impossible equation. So we are still going to be doing our elimination of some of the cases that are there that are too old to be tried properly, and so we're going to get rid of those administratively, while they're asking the DPP to prioritize the murder cases. And I think that it is evident to Barbados, given what has been happening, that it is critical that we deal especially with the murder trials as a matter of priority. It doesn't mean that the other matters are not important, but some of the challenges that we face in relation to bail will be as a result of the fact that cases are taking too long to go through the system.
A 19-year-old woman was today granted $8,000 bail with one surety after being charged with assisting a man wanted in connection with a murder. A killer, Kiana Gittings of 5F Madison Terrace, St. Michael, is accused of providing accommodation and financial assistance with the intent to impede apprehension of Kadeem Clark. She appeared before Magistrate Wanda Blair at the Holton Magistrates Court and was not required to plead to the indictable offense. She was ordered to report to the Black Rock Police Station every Monday and Friday before 9 a.m. and will reappear in court on September 17.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Shastney is agreeing in principle to one of the plans proposed by Prime Minister Mia Mottley to keep regional airline Liat in the air. Shastney appears willing to consider minimum revenue guarantees, referred to as MRGs, to make the airline profitable and to ensure it can continue servicing certain routes. Under this arrangement, money is paid to the airline if revenue is lost on a particular route. Prime Minister Shastney says his government is not averse to this proposal, however, the details need to be discussed.
Flight doesn't come point to point between St. Lucia and Barbados. There are people on that flight who are also going to other destinations. How do you proportion out the MRG? How do you determine the MRG? Are you going to determine it on the existing cost structure, or are you going to wait now for a new cost structure? And if in fact this existing cost structure is going to stay in place, should St. Lucia or any other country be paying very high subsidy fees for those routes? So we do need air access. St. Lucia has been consistently on record that we think that there has to be a restructuring of Liat.
And finally, on the international scene, British Prime Minister Theresa May offered on Wednesday to quit in a bid to get her European Union divorce deal passed. But the Northern Irish Party, crucial to getting the agreement through Parliament, was unmoved and said they would reject it again.
At stake is the treaty governing Britain's divorce from the EU, which May spent 2.5 years negotiating with Brussels.
Mr. Speaker, the House has spoken.
In January, Parliament voted it down by the most crushing margin in modern British history.
I profoundly regret.
And another defeat this month was almost as bad. May wants Parliament to vote on it again this week. She badly needs support from Brexiteers in her own party. And some even hardened opponents have indicated they will now back her deal rather than jeopardise the divorce. The price was her job. Much will depend, though, on a small Northern Irish party, the DUP, which props up May's government and said no to her deal in the past 2 ballots. Every vote counts for May, who heads a wobbly minority government. She did have a slim parliamentary majority, but she lost it in another gamble in 2017, when she called a snap election seeking a wave of support to carry her through Brexit. But she lost seats instead.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.